let's first talk about reading nutritional labels. So when it comes to nutritional labels, there's going to be the serving size. So how many servings there are in that container there'll be. So you can see on this label, there's 2 servings per container, and a serving size is a half a cup and or 60 grams of weight. And then you have your calories per serving. So this is per serving. This is one thing that is super important to note that taking note of how many servings are in the container and then the calories per serving. Then you have your grams of fat also per serving, grams of carbs per serving, protein per serving. And then, of course, you have your vitamins and minerals that you also see listed, like your dietary fiber, trans fats, saturated fats, all of those different things. When it comes to like what you're looking at, when it comes to tracking, it's like, okay, like I want to know the carbs, the fats, the protein. Yes, you want to get your dietary fiber in, shooting between 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. Total sugars, we're gonna be like totally upfront with you here. Total sugars, like sugar is a sugar is a sugar, carb is a carb is a carb. So they list total sugars as in the amount of sugars that are in this package, but then they also include any additional added sugars. So some people, when they look at this, they're like, oh, I don't want any additional sugars. Additional sugars are bad. Sugar is not bad. As with everything, it all comes down to, the way that your body
Right.
can handle it.
And overall consumption.
Yes. So let's talk about some things that you need to know when it comes to nutritional labels. Well, the first thing is that the FDA allows up to a 20% error. Yes, up to a 20% error.
We call it a margin.
Yeah, like margin for error. And we're not saying this to scare you. It's just like something to be aware of. And apparently, the serving sizes that are listed on the packages now are based on what people typically consume. I guess in the past, it was more of what they recommended consuming, but if anybody's ever had one of those Lenny and Larry cookies, and it's like, it's like a cookie that's like this big, and it would say, I don't even
I
know.
think before it was they had it labeled as like 2 to 3
Yes,
servings per container.
but nobody ate that.
Very similar to like I would say that the opposite of that would be like going to Crumble Cookie. If you look on
Yeah,
their website, it's like, oh, a serving is a quarter of a cookie. It's like who goes and eats just a corner
I
of one
yeah,
cookie?
I thought that was one thing I wanted to bring. I'm like, who's gonna eat a quarter of a crumble
Yeah.
cookie? Like, come on.
And so, but that's also why taking note of the serving size makes all the difference in the world. Because a lot of times people look at a label or package like, oh, like this not too bad, and they don't realize like, oh, there's 17 servings in this bag, so like that's a
Nuts.
lot.
Oh my gosh, the amount of servings in a
It is.
nut bag
It's not.
is nuts.
Yeah.
It really is. And like we've totally been, guilty of this where it's like,
Not me.
oh, where we've gotten something and then we're like, oh my gosh, this seems amazing. Like we went and got these like big ass tortillas. I'm like, oh my God, 150 calories. And I had like looked at it and I swear I like double checked. I'm like, this seems too good to be true.
We should
And
more
then
focus on. We were more focused on doing the math to make sure like the carbs added up or whatever.
yeah,
Actually, like the macro breakdown does equal the calories. It's good, and then we totally missed the fact that
it was
uh,
2.5 servings
per
for,
tortilla.
oh gosh. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is bullshit. This is bullshit.
But
My
we ate them and
dreams,
they were good.
they were good. They were good. But anyways, okay, other things to know is there is rounding when it comes to nutritional labels. And so foods that are less than 50 calories, they are rounded to the nearest five. Foods that are greater than 50 calories, they're rounded up to the nearest 10. Alcohol in general, if you didn't know, has 7 calories per gram. Sugar alcohols, they have different calories as well, ranging from zero point 0.4 calories to 3 calories per gram. It just depends on the sugar alcohol. When we're talking about sugar alcohols, we mean like erythritol, those types of sugar alcohols. And then fiber actually carries 2 to 2.5 calories per gram. And the reason why we bring these up is because all of these different things will play a factor when it comes to the nutritional label and the way that it is calculated and how it affects what it looks like in your tracking. So how it affects lifestyle trackers. So for instance, like rounding with calories. So because a lot of nutritional labels are rounded, um, when you're inputting your macro targets into your nutritional tracker, it can show lower or higher calories on the tracker. And we're going to get into this shortly. But your nutrition tracking app also rounds. So not only does the label on the package round, like your nutrition tracker will round, and so that can affect the amount of calories that are showing up inside of your nutrition tracker and also the lifestyle tracker. When it comes to alcohol, fiber, and sugar alcohols, oftentimes they have what we call like missing carbs or like missing calories. They can typically show their lower or higher calories on the tracker, which we'll get into. And then there's even inaccurate labels that we've experienced where they show higher calories than what the macros are accounting for. And so if the label shows higher calories, but the macros are showing less calories, when you input it into the lifestyle tracker, your lifestyle tracker will show less calories on your tracker.
And a good example of that would be alcohol, right? Because
Yes.
a lot of times when you go to, we'll say, if you were to scan, alcohol that does scan, a lot of times they mark it as like, oh, like 2 grams of carbs or whatever, but it's 100 calories. If you were to track it in your tracker or like your fitness tracker as 2 grams of carbs, but not the 100 gram or the 100 calories, there'd be a huge discrepancy. And then when you put it into your lifestyle tracker, same thing, that discrepancy would show because the lifestyle tracker, it's based on the number of carbs that you put in, and then it does the math according to that.
Yep. So let's talk about how do you actually calculate a nutritional label? Well, we know that fat has 9 calories per gram, carbs have 4 calories per gram, and protein has 4 calories per gram. So if we were to take a look at this nutrition label, we see that there's 2.5 fat, 21 carbs, and 1 protein. So when we multiply it by the appropriate factor, we get a total of 110.5 calories rounded to 110 calories. So this is a beautiful nutrition label that is accurate, which for the most part, like
That's pretty common.
like
No, we're not trying to scare you that like they're
exactly.
all fucked, but like there will be some sneaky ones out there.
There will, and we'll show you how you can determine which ones those are going to be or how to spot
A
them.
lot of times it's the things that are like advertised as like diet, low calorie,
Yeah.
low fat, all these things that like make it sound fantastic. Those are the ones you got to double